Let's take a deeper dive now into the Steve Bannon matter. Tonight, Chief National Correspondent Ed Henry tells us who he is, where he came from, and where he may be going.
We'll see what happens with Mr. Bannon.
President Trump left Steve Bannon twisting in the wind even before this latest explosive magazine article. Advisors say the president was not amused when Time magazine labeled Bannon the great manipulator, which sparked a Saturday Night Live skit portraying Bannon as the Grim Reaper, a dark puppet master pulling the strings of the presidency.
Can I have my desk back?
Yes, of course, Mr. President. I'll go sit at my desk.
The president's consternation only grew last month with a book Bannon cooperated with, framing Trump's historic election as a Bannon-engineered victory, a notion that earlier this week was clearly still gnawing at the president.
I won all the primaries. Mr. Bannon came on very much later than that.
The president's point is that in early 2016, when he was building a movement, Bannon was still noncommittal as he hosted a South Carolina Tea Party forum with all of the Republican candidates.
Hello, wow.
It was not until shortly after the Republican convention in August 2016, when Paul Manafort was pushed out, that Bannon was brought in to help run the Trump campaign, though he had been unofficially advising the candidate for months. From his perch as head of the influential conservative news site Breitbart, that Bannon once called the platform for the alt-right, a movement which has been under attack from the left, particularly in the wake of the violence by neo-Nazis and white nationalists in Charlottesville. As the president has pointed out violence among radicals on the left as a way of defending himself and Bannon.
He is not a racist.
As a young Navy lieutenant, Bannon was inspired to join the conservative movement when President Reagan made a point of going to the Pentagon in February 1981 to honor Vietnam vets who had been shunned by President Carter.
There's been no thank you for their sacrifice.
He also followed Reagan's love of free markets, using what he calls his mathematical mind to make millions at Goldman Sachs. Now, leading Republicans believe the conservative torch can be passed to a new generation if Bannon departs.
If he is replaced, I suspect the vast majority of people in the Trump base will shrug their shoulders and say, well, I didn't really know the guy that well, and move on.
Advisors to the president tell me, given Bannon's influence, they may rather have him wreaking havoc inside the tent than out. And with Nancy Pelosi calling on Bannon to be fired, the president just may dig in and back him. Bill? Thanks, Ed. Ed Henry in Washington tonight.